Hello guys and welcome back to TechWolf, and today we are going to do another CompTIA A Plus Core 1 test, and this will be test already for the latest CompTIA A Plus Core 1 exam. A user needs to print high resolution images with deep color accuracy. What type of printer should they use? So if you need deep color accuracy, what printer you should use? Laser printer, thermal printer, dot matrix printer, inkjet printer, or 3D printer. And here the correct answer is inkjet printer, as the inkjet printers are the best for photo quality color printing. And if you are interested guys, I have also course here on Udemy where I have created 5 practice exams, and these exams are also for the latest CompTIA A Plus, as you can see, for 1201 practice exam. And in this course I have 5 practice exams. Each exam is 90 questions, and each of these practice exams are also for the latest CompTIA A Plus Core 1 exam, and these practice exams are multi-choice and 90 questions each. So in total there are 450 questions in this course. If you are interested, like I mentioned, I will leave a link in description and in first pinned comment of this video. And next question, a user complains that their laptop screen is completely blank, but an external monitor works fine. What is the most likely issue? So, laptop screen is blank and external monitor works. This means that you are able to connect to your laptop external monitor and it is displaying everything as it should be, but your laptop screen still doesn't work. What would be the most likely issue here? The RAM is corrupt, the power supply is failing, the hard drive is fragmented, the system is in airplane mode, or the laptop's display is faulty. So which would be the most correct answer here? And the correct answer is the laptop's display is faulty, as if an external monitor works, the built-in display may be damaged. In real life, if you would be troubleshooting a laptop which screen is not working, the first thing how you would test it, whether it's to do with the computer itself or with screen, is by connecting the external monitor. And if logically external monitor works, this means that your computer system works fine, but there is the problem with monitor. Similar as in these questions, that laptop's display is faulty. And next question, a desktop PC randomly shuts down under heavy workloads. What should the technician check first? So if a PC randomly shuts down when it has heavy workloads, the antivirus software, the mouse settings, the power supply wattage, the system's wallpaper, or the USB port voltage. What would be the correct answer in this question? And the correct answer here is the power supply wattage, as the underpowered PSUs or power supply units can cause random shutdowns under a load. And next question, a laptop's cooling fan runs constantly at high speed. What is the most likely cause? Corrupted BIOS, dead CMOS battery, weak Wi-Fi signal, overheating CPU, or faulty GPU driver. And here the correct answer is overheating CPU, as a constantly running fan is often due to high CPU temperatures requiring cleaning or repasting. A technician needs to install multiple virtual machines on a workstation. What component is most critical for performance? GPU or graphics processing unit, power supply, RAM or random access memory, monitor, or optical drive? Which would be the correct answer here? And the correct answer here is RAM. And like I mentioned guys, if you are interested in 450 questions, and those questions are even harder than these which I am providing you here in these videos on my TechWolf channel, take my Udemy course which I have created with 5 practice exams with 90 questions each. And once you will be able to go through all those and pass them at least 80% each, then you should be pretty much prepared for this CompTIA Plus Core 1 exam. And like I mentioned, that is already for the latest, for the new exam. And here RAM. Let's get back to our test. Virtual machines require sufficient RAM to run multiple operating systems simultaneously. And next question. A technician is installing a new NVMe SSD in a laptop. What must be done before using it? Format the drive, run a BIOS update, defragment the drive, or disable secure boot, or reset the CMOS battery. So what would be the correct answer for this question? And here the correct answer is format the drive, as a new SSD must be formatted before it can store data. And pretty much all drives, whenever, or hard disk drive or SSD drive or USB, for example, if it's not formatted, they all need to be formatted under some file system before you can store any data. Otherwise, if there is no formatting, there is no information on that drive in what format you want to store data on this or that storage device, whether, like I mentioned, like USB or hard disk drive or SSD. They always have to be formatted. And next question. A user complains of a slow internet speed despite being connected via Ethernet. What should the technician check first? The GPU driver settings, the system's audio drivers, the CPU's clock speed, the amount of free RAM, or the network cable type. And here the correct answer is the network cable type, as using an old Cat5 cable instead of Cat5e or Cat6 can limit network speed significantly. As you know, Cat5s, however, we don't use them anymore, guys, they are very slow. They allow only transfer speeds only up to 100 megabits per second. And next question. A technician installs a new stick of RAM, but the system fails to boot. What is the most likely cause? The CPU is overheating, the operating system is corrupted, the hard drive is failing, the RAM is of a higher capacity than the motherboard supports, or the system lacks an antivirus program. And the correct answer here is the RAM is of a higher capacity than the motherboard supports, as motherboards have RAM capacity limits and exceeding this limit can prevent booting. A user reports that their laptop speaker stopped working, but audio still plays through headphones. What should the technician check first? The speaker volume settings, the power supply unit, the display settings, the CPU temperature, or the system restore options. And here the correct answer is the speaker volume settings, as an audio settings may be misconfigured, muting the laptop speaker while allowing headphones to function. A user complains that their external hard drive is suddenly unreadable. What is the best tool to check for errors? Disk part, device manager, event viewer, check disk, msconfig. And here the correct answer is check disk command, as check disk command scans for and repairs file system errors on storage drives. A technician needs to upgrade the cooling solution in a high-performance gaming PC. Which cooling method provides the best thermal performance? Stock air cooling, liquid cooling with 120mm radiator, liquid cooling with a 360mm radiator, adding an additional case fan, or replacing the power supply. And here, just by logic, you can tell that the best solution would be with the bigger radiator, so liquid cooling, because liquid cooling itself is much better than simply ventilation cooling, so that would be liquid cooling and the bigger is radiator. In this case we have two options, one is 120 mm and another is 360 mm, so the bigger one is the best solution, so liquid cooling with a 360 mm radiator. A 360 mm liquid cooling radiator provides superior cooling for high performance CPUs compared to smaller radiators or air coolers. And air cooling is not the best cooling is liquid cooling. And next question, a technician is troubleshooting a desktop with no display output. The motherboard speaker beeps 3 times. What does this typically indicate? And this question, it is talking about that beeping, but for different motherboards beeping might be different. But however, these 3 beeps which are indicated on most motherboards, that's why this question is asking exactly this, that this is beeping 3 times. And here options of answers or answer options are hard drive failure, overheating CPU, corrupt operating system, faulty or missing RAM, or dead CMOS battery, which would be the most correct answer here. And if there are 3 beeps, usually this indicates missing or faulty RAM. So faulty or missing RAM is the correct answer here. As 3 beep codes on most BIOS versions, like I mentioned guys, this might be still different on some BIOS or some motherboards, but on most of them this would be the correct answer, as on most BIOS versions indicate a RAM issue requiring reseating or replacing the RAM sticks. And a technician is installing a new GPU but notices the system fails to boot after installation. What should they check first? The GPU's temperature, the BIOS settings, the monitor's refresh rate, the system's thermal paste, the power supply wattage and PCIe power connectors. And here the correct answer is the power supply wattage and the PCIe power connectors, as many high-end GPUs require additional power connectors. And yes guys, you should also note that there are some GPUs or graphical processing units or graphics cards which require additional power connection. Especially this is when you are talking about gamers or gaming graphics cards, where you will need to add additional power connectors from your motherboard to make these graphical processing units or graphics cards to function. And next question, a user wants to connect their desktop to a Wi-Fi network but does not see any available networks. What is the most likely cause? The computer has no wired adapter installed, the ISP or internet service provider is blocking Wi-Fi connections, the motherboard is overheating, the firewall settings are incorrect, or the system has outdated CPU or central processing unit. And here the correct answer is the computer has no wireless adapter installed, as many desktops do not have built-in Wi-Fi adapters and require a USB or PCIe Wi-Fi card. And next question, a laptop's keyboard suddenly stops responding. So keyboard stops working, the touchpad and external USB keyboard work fine. What should the technician check first? So as you can see, a touchpad and external keyboard, if you connect an external keyboard using USB, like as you can see here, USB keyboard works fine. What should the technician check first? The device's USB ports, the network adapter settings, the laptop's function key settings, the BIOS firmware version, or the GPU driver updates. And here the correct answer is the laptop's function key settings, as by enabling or disabling function keys or by using a function key which is Fn key with some keys which are on top of your keyboard with F keys like F1, F2, F3, F4 and so on and so forth. On some keyboards might disable the whole keyboard or lock the whole keyboard. And that's exactly why the laptop's function key settings we should check first, as some laptops allow users to disable their internal keyboard via function key combinations. So if you click on Fn and on some of F1, F2, F3, it depends on the keyboard. And next question, a technician installs an M.2 NVMe SSD into a desktop, but it is not detected in BIOS. What should be checked first? The PCI version compatibility, the SSD file system, the SATA cable connection, the BIOS boot order, or the device's Wi-Fi adapter. And here the correct answer is the PCIe version compatibility, as NVMe SSDs use PCIe lanes and an incompatible PCIe version or slot may prevent detection. And next question, a technician is troubleshooting RAID 10, as like I mentioned guys, for your CompTIA Plus Core 1, you should know RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5 and RAID 10. And by the way, this also applies for not only CompTIA Core 1 but also for your Core 2 exam. You might also be asked questions about the RAIDs. So make sure that you know all these four. As I mentioned, RAID 0, RAID 1, RAID 5 and RAID 10. So a technician is troubleshooting a RAID 10 array. 2 drives have failed in the array. What is the result? So if 2 drives in RAID 10 would fail, what would be the result? All data is lost. The system continues running with no issues. Data remains accessible if the failed drives are from different mirrored sets. The system can be restored by replacing one drive. The system needs a full reinstallation. So, what would be the correct answer here? And the correct answer here is that data remains accessible if the failed drives are from different mirrored sets. As RAID 10 uses mirroring and striping, if each failed drive belongs to a different mirror set, data remains intact. And next question, a user reports that their laptop's battery is not charging even when plugged in. What is the first thing to check? The laptop's battery health, the laptop's BIOS settings, the screen brightness settings, the number of background processes running, or the power adapter's output voltage. And the correct answer is the power adapter's output voltage, as if the battery is not charging, checking the power adapter's output voltage ensures the adapter is providing the correct power. And next question, a user reports that their laptop display is flickering intermittently. What is the most likely cause? Faulty RAM, a damaged display cable, a corrupted graphics driver, a failing hard drive, a weak Wi-Fi signal. And the correct answer here is a damaged display cable, as a flickering display is often caused by a loose or damaged display cable connecting the screen to the motherboard. And the next question, a technician is troubleshooting a desktop PC that does not power on. The power supply fan is not spinning and no LEDs are lit on the motherboard. What should be checked first? The CMOS battery, the RAM modules, the power supply connections, the operating system installation, the CPU thermal paste. And the correct answer here is the power supply connections. If the PSU fan is not spinning and no LEDs are on, the issue is likely loose or faulty power supply connections. And yes guys, this is a test, and like I mentioned at the start guys, if you are interested in 5 practice exams. I will leave a link to my Udemy course in description and in first pinned comment of this video. And I would highly recommend for anyone who is going to approach this or takes this CompTIA Plus Core 1 exam to test for yourself, because that is the way how you will be able to prepare yourself to be able to think fast and to understand questions and to answer these questions very fast. In real exam you will have only 1 minute for one question, and you need to practice not only to understand or learn some subject which you would be able to figure out in, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes the answer to that question, but you should be able also to think fast, and the only way how you can train yourself is by doing these practice tests for yourself. And this is exactly the reason why I created this course on my Udemy. So yes guys, if you found this video useful, leave a like, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and see you in the next one.